Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Sunchild Tarot. Now this is a general reading taking in the effects of the total eclipse. Now this is a fairly big event compared to some of the events that have happened in 2020. It's not an enormous event, but it is setting the stage for an enormous event with the great or grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn coming up on the solstice. It is a total eclipse, so it does have extra whammy. I mean, an eclipse is an eclipse, but the fact that it's total has that little bit of extra whammy. Now, I've covered, with astrologer David Fischer, I have covered the astrology of this total eclipse in some detail in a show that we've called 2020 season finale, which link for which will be down in the description. This is a general reading. I am looking at the energies, but I am looking for your sign. It's the same intro for everybody, timestamp as normal. So what's your sun, your moon, your rising? This I'm using oracle cards rather than a tarot Celtic cross this time, because this is a time for setting priorities. This is a time for working out how to manifest the next timeline that you want once we have the grand conjunction cycle change into the air signs. You either know what that means or it doesn't, but basically December the 21st, really big aspect coming up, sets the stage for the next 20 years and for the next 200 years and quite possibly 800 years, again refer to the 27 grand season finale. But what I will cover is the angels and demons that are looking after this. We have Michael, who represents, fertility, fruitfulness, unity. So there is a push towards coming together. And also what we set into motion now will hopefully get bigger. Now that has a good side and a bad side, because the two Goetic spirits that rule this decan, we have Renove, who is a favourite of mine. Astrologically, he can represent slavery, but magically, Renove is, I feel like I'm being rude, but he's hideously ugly and absolutely and utterly charming. You've heard me talk about him before if you've watched my readings before. He was a demon that went around the medieval world spreading peace and diplomacy wherever he went. You know, so he shows that no matter what the obstacle is, i.e. the hideous ugliness, it can be overcome by his charmingness. That a solution can always be found. Now, he rules this, if I remember correctly, by day. Let me just double check that. I'm sure it's by day. Yes, and by night, then Andras is the Goetic spirit in charge of that decan. Now, Andras astrologically, I'm sorry, I'm saying it with that little roll of the R because his name reminds me so much of Zathras of Babylon 5. But Andras astrologically represents folly. So it means that we are called upon to take great thought in what we are planning to do, because whatever plans we set into motion will be fruitful. Andras also is a warmonger spirit. He enjoys bloodshed for the sake of it. So you have that really obvious choice. Unity, as represented by Michael and Renove, or division, as represented by Andras. So whatever you're doing, I would say it's a good idea to make sure that your plan involves people coming together rather than drawing a battle line and go in charge. You know, there's because that will help set up, either way will help set up the energies ready for that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. As I say, I discussed it a lot further in the 2020 grand season finale. So, season finale, sorry, no grand about it. So general reading rules apply. It's not really a predictive reading. I'll be using tarot to clarify the oracle cards. But what we are doing is looking at the energies that we could use, or if I dare use the word should, that we are advised to use to send your energy forward to create the best timeline for not just you, but for you and yours. And that's the important thing that I want to draw out, certainly with Mihail and Renove, giving that message of unity. This is not just for you, this is for you and yours. What you set into motion now affects more than just you. No shit, Sherlock. So, what's your sun, your moon, and your rising sign? There's a link in the description down below, one for the season finale, but two for the Facebook page for this group. I put these videos up. I put the astrology weather forecast style videos that I watch up, because I try and make it a bit of a one-stop shop. And it's got its own inbox, so if you want to contact me for a personal reading, that's one of the best ways to do it. Well, it's the best way to do it. Also down there's a Linktree link that will give you my Twitter, my Tumblr, and all the various different paths that you can take to contact me. But Facebook's the best bet, really. It gets checked the most often, or even better, my phone tells me what's going on. So yeah, I think I will bring up your cards. I'm sure there was something else I was going to say, but no, let's crack on and bring up the cards. Okay, Leo, and if you're Leo rising, this total eclipse is occurring in your 5th house, in the area where you have fun, romance, and create things that you are proud of. So that actually could bode well or ill, but I'm thinking it bodes well. And the reason why, even before I look at the oracle cards themselves, I just want to draw your attention to the tarot that have come out to clarify them. We have 2 major arcana, 2 court cards, and an ace. So that strikes me as basically a positive sign, even before I start reading any further. So the first oracle card we have is Hermes, representing communication. Now, it's been a theme of these readings so far about building bridges between 2 worlds. And Hermes was the god that indeed did that. He came from, well, he went from Olympus to Earth, to the underworld, back to Olympus. He took souls to the underworld. He could go anywhere. And there seems to be this urge to go anywhere in relation to some information that you receive. So there's probably the shocking event of the eclipse. Now, what St. Anthony tells us is that no matter how great the challenge, you can do it. Which rather indicates that there's a challenge that's needed to be done. And this is with the Knight of Swords. So I'm thinking that, again, it's coming from this information that you receive, and it's something that you need to deal with. Deal with is probably the wrong word. Do something with fast. It's not a time to let the grass grow under your feet. As soon as you have this information where basically your reaction is, oh, that changes things, then immediately deal with that change. Immediately adjust your plans, change your preparations, whatever it is that you're needing to deal with. But as shocking as that sounds, I think this is for the better. We have card number 5, Between Worlds, New Directions. It's almost like, again, there's that imagery of the Between Worlds, which is why I brought up what I did at the start. This is clarified by Queen of Wands, Queen of Staves. And I'm really drawn to the interplay between the the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Swords here, that the Knight is reporting to the Queen, as we can tell from the pictures, but it's the Queen of another country. And the Knight is heading to her to... I honestly don't feel like he's there to deliver something. He's there to listen. And the reason why is because the Queen of Staves is amplified by the presence of the priestesses of Avalon. 9 priestesses called the Morgan, not Morgan, who did their worship of the goddess and spiritual transmutation and everything that they need to do off an Isle of Avalon. And that card is very much about welcoming the essence of the goddess into your life. Here we have, as the goddess, the Queen of Wands, who is my favourite of the queens. Not that I play favourites, but, you know, the King of Wands is my favourite card, and the Queen of Wands is a close third, because I like the Sun as well. But this, dealing with something, is opening up a whole new path for you, because we have, from the Hero's Journey Oracle, we have the card The Call. Hear the whisper of your soul. Being clarified by the Magician. There is some, whatever this news is, whatever this challenge is, it's pretty much there to... Well, I've got the phrase unleash your superpower echoing in my head, and I think that's maybe over-egging the pudding somewhat, because it's not a superpower, it just simply is your power. You know, there's an element with the Magician of expertise, you know, of rigorous training. And again, if you're getting support with this challenge, and look, well, I mean, of course, he's a saint, he's carrying a Bible, but I was going to say St. Anthony here is carrying a book. But of course he is, it'll be the Bible. But you've got study with St. Anthony's past. He was he was a monk. Let me just look him up. Here's one I prepared earlier. Yeah, Franciscan. He was a monk of the Franciscan order, so intense study there. Intense study and experimental study with the Magician, and the same with the Priestess of Avalon. And both of these two cards are indicating that you're not just experimenting, you're experimenting to an end. I want to change one thing to another thing. Can I do it this way? Can I do it this way? Can I do it this way? There is a danger here with the Moon card of the odd bit of self-delusion here. So I would say keep testing yourself that you're going on the right way. But having said that, what really links, I love the synchronicity between that moon and the moon at the top of that Priestess of Avalon card. And it's saying very much to me that your power in this situation, since we've got the Magician card, your calling, your role is going to grow in power. And there's also... you can see that story echoed in the way the tarot cards have fallen. We've started with an ace, which is a powerful card. It's an ace of wands, ace of staves, wonderful, thrusting forward into a new realm. I'm not going to say new beginning because I use that phrase way too much. But into a new realm, because you are going into a different realm with the Knight of Swords to the Queen of Wands. But look at the progression. Ace, so 1, going to the Knight, going to the Queen, going to the Magician, going to a satellite, or I would say, going to a planet. Let's look at it, let's call it astrologically, because why not? We're reading tarot. So the idea, the motion, the authority, the true authority, and a planet. It's getting bigger all the way along here. So pay very close attention to those things that come to you that make you go, oh, that'll change things. And that's opening up a whole new door. But it's a balanced path, since we're seeing the goddess energy. I mean, there's the other association with this card is like the rise of the divine feminine, which has been a focus in a lot of people's talk about astrology throughout this year, certainly those who are working with the asteroids. And I think that would be fair enough, that there is that more balanced feminine energy. We're starting with the masculine, and you know, it remains quite evident here, the masculine, but the feminine, when the feminine energy is coming in, it's not coming in a small way and then growing. It is just arriving, you know. And we're looking at the Queen of Wands and the Priestesses of Avalon. You ain't going to argue with them, you know. So it's arriving in full force, in full maturity, in full power, which I think is really quite beautiful. And it's encouraging you to be a little more receptive to the influences that are around, but using that keen sight of being so receptive that you see every little detail, which is again a gift of Hermes, seeing every little detail. And there is got, that's where we need to act. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to take care of. So, and having the experience to actually go ahead and do that. So, yeah. That's what I think, that's what I'll call the reading. That will change things, because that's what you need to watch out for. So Leo, it's so good to give you a nice reading as well after a few of the recent readings. The thing I forgot to say at the start of the show was like, share and subscribe, you know, all that good YouTube stuff. Comment down below, which I've forgotten until your video to even say that bit. Do go and watch your moon sign and your rising sign if you're not doing that already. But please, definitely have a look at the 2020 season finale video that I did with astrologer David Fischer. I go into the angels and demons of the degrees. He goes into the planetary astrology. And all in all, I'd like to think I'm quite positive about this new era coming up. With reservations, or no, not reservations, with caution. But I'm quite positive about it. Cheers, Leo.